Hi, this is Grace Power, and today I wanted to do a book review on another book that just totally changed my life. It's called Loving What Is by Byron Katie, and she teaches a method of dealing with any type of thought that causes a discomfort in your body or in your mind, or any type of anxious thought or depressing thought, or any type of thought that sort of has a negative effect, and you can feel it. A lot of times you might feel it in your stomach, or you feel it in your muscles. You get like tense or something, and there's some sort of reaction internally, or that you can feel in your body. Any type of sort of a dis-ease that is caused from a thought. And she teaches a method called the work, that's what she calls it, of 4 questions. And then you take those 4 questions and you examine that thought. And a lot of times after going through the process of the work, you are relieved of that anxious thought or depressing thought, or any of the emotions that you felt because of those thoughts. And you may even have a new way of thinking, a new thought that you could think instead of that other thought, that actually can bring about peace of mind, joy, possibly even laughter. You can find humor in a different thought, and it's actually kind of a fun process once you get through it. But it is called the work because it is work. We're not taught to do this with our thoughts. A lot of times we just believe our thoughts are true, and that is the first question of the work: is that true? And I wanted to share my screen with you so that I can show you where to find this book on Amazon, and just kind of show you a picture of the author, Byron Katie. She is definitely one of my role models. There she is. And this book is is definitely a life changer. I don't think anyone could read this book and not have it affect their life. I think the thing about it is it just gives you access to another way of dealing with any type of negativity or discomfort, or just anything. If you are on like antidepressants, you could probably get off of those after reading this book. It really brings the joy back to life going through this book, and it's awesome. So one thing I encourage you to do is just go and click on it, and you can read some of the inside of this book for free. And you can actually read a little bit about Byron Katie's journey and just how she even got started on this. She, had kind of a rough start, and was going through a lot of suffering, and so she kind of shows that the work process kind of came to her sort of in like a miraculous way, really, just very spontaneous. And from then on, she was using it in her life, and just started to have a complete transformation with herself, with her family. Just incredible. So here we go. This is a good summary. The work is merely 4 questions. It's not even a thing. It has no motive, no strings. It's nothing without your answers. These 4 questions will join any program you've got and enhance it. Any religion you have, they'll enhance it. If you have no religion, they will bring you joy, and they'll burn up anything that isn't true for you. They'll burn through to the reality that has always been waiting. So there you go. So I think a lot of people will get a lot out of just reading that little, look inside for free. And then once you kind of read through that, you'll know if this book is for you or not. And if it is, you can even just read it right on the Kindle. You could order, the paperback or hardcover. So this is just a great, great book. I'm sure they would have it. Well, I'm not sure, but I would think they would have it at the library too. And then I wanted to show a couple free resources that she offers is this PDF, which is basically a little booklet that goes through the work and is just sort of an introduction to the work of Byron Katie. No one can give you freedom but you. This little book will show you how. And so she goes through how to stay in your own business, not get into other people's business, meeting your thoughts with understanding, putting the mind on paper. That's really what she encourages, how to fill in a worksheet. And there you go. So she gives some examples on that. Inquiry, the 4 questions and the turnarounds. So here's the 4 questions. 1, is it true? 2, can you absolutely know that it's true? 3, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? And 4, who would you be without the thought? Turn the thought around, then find at least 3 specific, genuine examples of how the turnaround is true for you in this situation. So this is the part, the turnaround is something I use all the time. Sometimes I, kind of even can skip these things because I almost know all the time that if I'm having a discomfortable thought, that it's not true, or at least I don't need to believe that it's true. And there's always a turnaround that has more, just has a better outcome for my own personal growth. So, you've heard the saying, when one finger is pointing at somebody, then 3 fingers are pointing back at you. And that's usually what I've found with the turnaround is that, I might be accusing, oh, so-and-so is so selfish. And, so I'm pointing that finger at the, so-and-so and saying, they're so selfish. And then I have examples of why I think that they're selfish. But if I take a minute and do the turnaround and I say, I'm so selfish, and then I look for evidence of that in life, and I'm like, oh yeah, wow, I am selfish. Oh yeah, I did this, I did that. Oh, I'm selfish. And then another turnaround could be, they are so loving. So now I'm looking at that person that I just said was selfish, and I'm saying, they are so loving. And then I look for examples that of ways that they have demonstrated that they are loving. And, almost all the time you can find something, so it's just incredible. And so then you start looking at this person that you just accused of being selfish. And now all of a sudden you're seeing that they're, yes, they have selfish aspects, but look at, these other areas that they're loving. So it's not totally absolutely true that they're selfish, because they're not only selfish, they're also, giving and loving and caring. And there's almost always, in every instance, evidence of that. So that's the part that I use all the time. But I do suggest reading the book, because she works through other people's situations through the 4 questions and really digs deep. And I think just because she does that, a lot of people can find, see themselves in that. And you may work through a huge, something huge in your life that has really kept you from maybe even talking to a close family member, or pursuing a dream. But after going through this, it could just have a profound effect. So definitely encourage that. This is the booklet you can get for free. So, if money's an issue at this moment, you can't buy the book, go here and get this for free. And you can just Google, I just Googled Byron Katie free PDF, and it's one of the top ones that pops up. And this is another free resource that she offers online as well. It's called Judge Your Neighbor Worksheet. And isn't this cool? Because we're always told not to judge, don't judge others. Although it does say don't judge or you will be judged, right? Which actually, when you do this worksheet, you'll find that you do end up judging yourself. So yes, it is true that when you judge others, then you can judge yourself. But it's good. It's helpful. And another thing that people find helpful is a lot of times they bottle up this anger or this sadness or these disappointments inside of themselves. And it really helps to put it on paper and, look at the thoughts. And, a lot of times we think, oh, we're such a open-minded person, or we're so, open to everyone and their diversity and stuff. But when you actually put your emotions on paper and you see it in black and white, that, oh my gosh, I actually have hatred inside of me, or I have, sadness inside of me, or disappointment inside of me. And then you look at this and you just get to really examine it. It's really helpful, and it gets you out of a rut, and it really opens up some possibilities. Because without doing this work, you're just going to be stuck in that circle. I mean, nothing's ever going to change. You're never going to have a new, fresh thought. The other person's never going to change. As long as you think of, if you're judging your neighbor in a certain way, and this, when it says judge your neighbor, that could just be anybody outside of you. And it could even be God. She does have people work on, their judgments towards God as well. And you do this exercise, and it's very freeing. So the book is helpful just because it gives you a lot of examples. It gives you kind of a basis of where this all started from. And so that's why the book is so helpful. I'm just going to turn this back around. Oh, stop. There we go. Okay, I'm back. So anyways, if you guys have questions about this, you can put them in the, underneath the YouTube video, and I will periodically check in and answer your questions. I also suggest just looking at Byron Katie's videos on YouTube. If you're already watching this on YouTube, she has a lot of interviews on there. And whenever I've had like a really tough situation, I think sometimes some of my most challenging ones have been with Sean, like the closest people in our lives. Sometimes those are like the most challenging relationships. But even anybody else that I might have just a troubling thought about, or a really strong judgment about, and I'm kind of having a hard time doing the turnaround, and I keep coming back to the original thought and thinking it's true, and it's causing discomfort and unloving thoughts and things like that. I just go and like watch Byron Katie on YouTube and just kind of be reminded of the work, and how the work is so powerful, and how to get out of those just uncomfortable thoughts. There's no reason for them. Once you start doing the work, you realize there's no reason to ever be uncomfortable based on a thought, based on a way of believing about yourself or other people or the world. It's just amazing, and it really has you love everything in life. And it's made me a better parent. I think that's a big one. I'm really glad I read this book before I became a parent and had already had time to kind of practice it, because I use it a lot with Stellar. I have a reaction. Stellar will do something that I'm like, oh, that's irritating. For instance, I'll fold laundry, and they'll be all like sitting there in these little piles and perfect, and he'll come and like throw them on the floor or something. And so I'm able to look at those situations so much different, and with so much more just, what would you call it? Just a way to love life. Like, just when those things happen, I can just actually love the experience of it. And if I start to, have a reaction, I'm pretty quick to turn it around, because I can just go right back to myself. Oh, whatever I was thinking about Stellar, I can turn it around to think about me, or I can notice where he's not that way and acknowledge, where he's not that way. Because I think that that's, sometimes when parents will say to their kids, you're always late, let's say. Well, they're not usually, I mean, if you really look, they're probably not always late, but it's easy to focus on that in the moment. If they're late, then you just think, oh, you're always late. But then you start, oh, you're always early. And then you're like, oh, wow, you are early to this and this and this. Okay. So, it just gives you a little more flexibility in your thoughts, and you don't have to get so stuck and angry and disappointed and all of those feelings that just kind of bring us down, and they're just based on thought. So that's why I just encourage people to read this book and then start to put into practice the work and make it just a lifelong habit. I, read this almost maybe 8 or 9 years ago, and I still just come back to it. This is my new habit. I was talking to my brother and sister-in-law a few months back, and I just said, I think that, if I were to have a religion, like this would be my religion, because it's such a great way to live. And it does take practice, especially because of just the society that we live in. And, we're constantly hearing like judgments everywhere that aren't really great judgments. And so it's easy to get drawn into that and start to feel all the emotions and feelings that go along with those judgments. And then when we take a minute to really, do the work on those judgments, we realize, oh, okay, I don't have to believe that thought, So anyways, I won't talk anymore. Just go there, read it, read the little free part, and decide if it's for you, and just keep in touch. Let me know if you've read this book, how it's impacted you. If you haven't, and you do end up reading it, let me know how it changed your life. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.